Mom sent me a gift list for their 40th anniversary, a $15,000 trip, a new car, and diamond earrings. I was at my desk when the email popped up subject line Anniversary Ideas. I thought it'd be a dinner suggestion or flowers. Instead, it was a shopping list from hell with my name in parentheses next to every luxury item. I read it twice, hoping I'd misread the numbers. I hadn't. My parents wanted me to buy all three. My hands actually shook. I could feel heat climbing up my neck. But that email was only the beginning. I'm Amelia Hart, 37, and if you'd met me 5 years ago, you'd never guess I'd end up running a vintage furniture business that ships pieces all over the country. Back then, I was broke, newly divorced, and working 12-hour days trying to keep a tiny shop alive. Now, I own 2 locations, a solid online following, and more money than I ever thought I'd see. I used to think success would buy peace. Instead, it bought me obligations. My parents, Linda and Richard, are both retired. My younger brother, Ethan, is 34 and still finding himself. My sister, Chloe, is 30 and loves posting brunch photos with captions about hard work, even though her rent is paid from my account. Over the years, I became the person everyone called when a bill was due or a small emergency came up. It started with good intentions, mom's arthritis medicine, dad's car repair, but slowly, their thank yous turned into expectations. Every month, I sent transfers without fail, $2, $800 for my parents' mortgage, $650 for Ethan's truck payment, $900 for Chloe's apartment. Over $5,000 leaving my account like clockwork. I told myself it was family, that I was lucky enough to help. But sometimes when I closed my shop late at night and saw the invoices piling up, I wondered why nobody ever asked how I was doing. So when that anniversary email came, I tried to stay calm. I called Mom, hoping there was some misunderstanding. "Hi, Mom. I just saw your email," I said, forcing a laugh. "Pick one thing from that list and I'll make it special." She didn't hesitate. "Oh, honey, you're being silly. We want all three." The words landed like ice water. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear, waiting for her to laugh and say she was kidding. She didn't. She kept talking, her tone half sweet, half condescending, telling me how proud they were of my success, how a little generosity would show appreciation for all they'd done. I looked around my office, the shelves lined with antique clocks, the smell of old wood and polish, the space I built from scratch, and felt a wave of disbelief. Did she really think I owed them a luxury car and a trip to the Maldives? I wanted to yell, but my throat locked up. "Mom," I finally said, trying to keep my voice steady. "That's a lot. I can't buy all three. Please just pick one." Silence. Then a sharp inhale. "Amelia," she said, her voice suddenly cold, "after everything we've done for you, you can't do this one thing." My stomach twisted. I'd heard that tone before, the guilt weapon every child of manipulative parents knows. I ended the call before my composure cracked. For the next hour, I just sat there staring at the monitor, watching the cursor blink on an empty invoice. I felt small again, like I was 16, begging for permission to have my own opinion. That night, I told myself it would blow over. Maybe she was just caught up in the excitement of their anniversary. But deep down, I knew better. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a pattern. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages in our family group chat. "Ethan, come on, sis, just buy them the stuff. They raised us." "Chloe, you make more in a week than I do in a month. Don't be cheap about Mom and Dad's anniversary." My chest tightened. I hadn't even told them about the call. Clearly, Mom already had. I typed a response, deleted it, then tossed my phone on the couch. The smell of coffee filled the kitchen, but it only made me feel queasy. I couldn't shake the sentence looping in my head. "You're being silly. We want all three." That tone, the arrogance of it. At work, I tried to distract myself reorganizing a cabinet of mid-century lamps. Every brass handle I polished, every receipt I folded, I heard her voice again. By noon, I was exhausted, not from labor, but from trying not to explode. My manager, Nora, noticed. "You okay?" she asked. I forced a smile. "Family stuff." She nodded like she understood, but she couldn't. Unless you've had someone guilt trip you in the name of love, you don't know how it feels like drowning while someone holds your head under and tells you it's for your own good. That evening, Mom called again. I hesitated before answering. Amelia, we were talking, and your father agrees, she began her tone brisk businesslike. The car would be more practical than the trip, but of course we still want the earrings too. Mom, I said quietly, I already told you I can't afford all that. She laughed the same dismissive laugh that had once made me feel 5 years old. Oh, stop it. You can afford it. You're doing so well, darling. Don't make this awkward. Something inside me snapped not loud, but final. You're asking me to spend over $50,000 because you feel entitled to it. Don't you dare use that word, she hissed. We gave you life. We supported you. Now it's your turn. For a moment I couldn't speak. The sheer boldness of it left me stunned. Mom, you didn't pay for my degree or my store or my rent when I started out. I built everything myself. Enough, she cut me off. You've changed. Money's made you arrogant. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. The phone buzzed again, more messages, more guilt. Mom's upset. You broke her heart. Dad's not feeling well. Are you happy now? I wasn't angry anymore. I was empty. Years of quiet resentment settled into something solid, something new, clarity. By midnight, I sat on the edge of my bed, scrolling through my banking app, looking at every automatic payment I'd been making for years. Mortgage, truck, rent, one after another. The next morning, I knew exactly what I had to do. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling, the blue light of my phone flickering across the room. Every notification made my stomach twist tighter. I finally sat up, pulled my laptop onto my knees, and opened my banking dashboard. Rows of scheduled payments glowed on the screen, neat and automatic, like a silent contract I'd signed with guilt. For years, I told myself these payments were love, but looking at them now, they felt like chains. Mortgage for my parents, $2,800. Truck payment for Ethan, $650. Apartment rent for Chloe, $1,900. I hovered over the first one, took a deep breath, and clicked cancel. Then the next. Cancel, and the next. Each click felt like exhaling for the first time in years. When I was done, I took screenshots of every cancellation and attached them to a single message in the family chat. Since I'm so selfish and greedy, I figured you wouldn't want my money anymore. Then I hit send and powered off my phone. Silence. Real, peaceful silence. No buzzing, no guilt, no one needing me. I made myself tea, watched the steam curl into the air, and realized I wasn't shaking anymore. The next morning, I called the restaurant where I'd booked their anniversary dinner. Hi, this is Amelia Hart. I need to cancel the Morrison party reservation for 30 guests. Of course, ma'am, the hostess said politely. There will be a 30% administrative fee. That's fine, I replied, smiling for the first time in days. After the call, I leaned back in my chair, staring at the morning light spilling across the floor. The air smelled like freedom, sharp, clean, unfamiliar. I had just undone years of obligation with a few clicks, and the world hadn't collapsed. By noon, the messages started pouring in, missed calls, voicemails, texts. I ignored them all. The fear was gone. In its place was something steadier, stronger. Resolve. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one apologizing. I was drawing the line, and deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. By the next morning, my phone looked like a crime scene, 50 missed calls, over 100 unread messages. I brewed coffee, sat at the kitchen counter, and scrolled through them one by one, calm as if I were reading the weather report. Mom, Amelia, what have you done? Call me immediately. Dad. This is outrageous. You can't abandon your family like this. Ethan. Are you insane? My truck payment's due tomorrow. Chloe. The landlord's threatening eviction. You can't just stop paying my rent. Every text was drenched in panic, but none of them said thank you or I'm sorry. Not one. They only cared about what they'd lost. By 10 a.m., the pounding started. I looked through the window and saw all 4 of them standing on my porch, Mom clutching her phone like evidence, Dad looking pale, Ethan scowling, Chloe's arms folded tight across her chest. Amelia, open up. Mom's voice sliced through the door. I didn't move. I stood in the hallway, coffee mug in hand, heartbeat steady. Please, honey, Dad's voice followed shaky but rehearsed. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out, I said through the door. You made it clear how you feel about me. Chloe shouted. You're overreacting, we're family, and family doesn't call someone selfish after bleeding them dry, I replied. They stayed for nearly an hour, voices rising and falling, pleading, cursing, bargaining. When Mom started sobbing, I turned up the music on my phone until the sound faded into background noise. Eventually, the knocking stopped. Tires crunched on the driveway. Silence returned. For 3 days, I didn't hear from them. I went back to work, lost myself in the rhythm of the shop, the creak of the old floorboards, the scent of lemon oil, the quiet hum of normalcy. Nora noticed I was lighter. You look peaceful, she said. I guess I finally cleaned house, I told her, half smiling. But peace never lasts long in a family that feeds on chaos. That Friday, as I was pricing a set of crystal lamps, Nora appeared in the doorway. Amelia, your parents are here. I froze. Send them in. Mom and Dad walked in slowly, both looking smaller somehow. Mom's eyes were red, her makeup uneven. Can we sit? Dad asked, voice low. I nodded toward the chairs across from my desk. Mom took a breath, smoothing her blouse. We were wrong to ask for so much. We've decided we'd be happy with just one thing, the trip or the car or the earrings. Whatever you choose. For a second, I just stared at her. Then, unexpectedly, I laughed. It started small, then spilled out uncontrollably. They looked startled. What's so funny? Dad asked, frowning. You still don't get it, I said, wiping a tear from my cheek. I'm not buying you anything. Not one thing. Mom's lips trembled. You're breaking my heart. Mom, I paid your medical bills for 3 years. I know there's nothing wrong with your heart. She gasped like I'd slapped her. How dare you talk to me that way? I'm done talking your way, I said quietly. I've supported you for years while you acted like it was owed to you. That ends now. Dad leaned forward, desperation edging his voice. What about the anniversary dinner? We already invited everyone. I canceled it, I said simply. You canceled it. Mom's voice rose a full octave. We can't uninvite 30 people. You might want to learn how I said meeting her eyes, or host something you can actually afford. Mom started to cry again, but there was no sincerity in it, just performance. You're cruel, she whispered. I'm free, I corrected. They left in silence. I could hear Mom crying all the way down the hall. That weekend, my phone exploded again, but this time it wasn't my parents. It was the rest of the family. Aunt Maggie, your poor mother is devastated. Uncle Ray, you're making a fool of them. Fix this. Cousin Josh, how can you treat your parents like that after all they've done? I stopped reading after that. Let them talk. Let them judge. They weren't the ones wiring $5,000 a month while being called ungrateful. 2 weeks later, the day of my parents' anniversary came and went without a word from them. Out of curiosity, I checked Chloe's Facebook. There, it was a small party in my parents' living room. 10 people, paper plates, dollar store decorations. The caption read, a simple celebration for 2 amazing parents. Some people forget what family means. I actually laughed out loud. The photos showed them smiling, surrounded by relatives' cake crumbs on the table. No Maldives trip, no diamonds, just reality. For the first time, I felt a strange relief wash over me. They looked content, almost happy. Maybe this was what they'd needed all along, life stripped of entitlement. But my peace didn't last. 2 months later, I came home to find their old Honda parked outside my gate. Mom and Dad stepped out, faces gray with worry. Amelia, Dad said we need to talk. I folded my arms. What now? We can't make the mortgage payments anymore, Mom said, her voice cracking. The bank's going to foreclose. I looked at them, no sympathy left to fake. That's interesting, I said. Because for 3 years I paid your mortgage. You should have $100,000 saved. Dad's eyes darted away. We had expenses. What expenses? I demanded. I covered your medical bills too. Silence. Mom wrung her hands. We didn't save as much as we should have. Then sell the country house, I said flatly. The one I bought you 6 years ago. Her head snapped up. We're not selling that. It's our retirement plan. Then you'll be moving in sooner than you think. Amelia, please, Dad said softly. We'll lose everything. You won't lose everything I said opening my front door. You'll just lose access to my wallet. Mom's tears came again, loud and theatrical. You're heartless. No, I said, stepping inside. I just finally grew one for myself. I shut the door, locked it, and leaned against it, breathing hard. Outside, I heard nothing. No more pleas, no more guilt. Just whined through the trees. The following weeks brought updates through the grapevine. Chloe picked up a second job at a coffee shop. Ethan started working extra shifts at the warehouse. My parents listed the country house and sold it for $85,000, just enough to catch up on the mortgage. It wasn't revenge anymore. It was correction. Balance finding its way back. One afternoon, as I was polishing a set of Victorian mirrors in the shop, my phone rang. It was Ethan. Hey, he said awkwardly. I just wanted to say, you were right. About what? About everything. I was lazy. I let you take care of me because it was easier. I'm sorry. I felt my throat tighten, but I kept my tone steady. I appreciate that, Ethan. I really do. I'm working weekends now, he continued. Saving up. It sucks, but it feels good, you know. Like I finally earned something. For the first time in months, I smiled without bitterness. I'm proud of you. Thanks, he said quietly. And I don't blame you for cutting us off. You did what you had to do. After he hung up, I sat there for a long time, the phone still in my hand. The anger, the hurt it all softened into something else. Pride. Not just in him, but in myself for finally breaking a cycle that should have ended years ago. Later that evening, as the shop lights dimmed and the street outside glowed amber, I realized something. This wasn't just a family feud. It was a rebirth. A few months later, I heard from my aunt that my parents had officially sold the country house. They'd used the money to clear the mortgage and even set aside a small savings account. For the first time, they were living within their means. No more fancy dinners or weekend shopping sprees. Just quiet, sustainable living. Chloe kept her coffee shop job while climbing the ladder at her firm. She'd stopped posting pictures of champagne brunches and started sharing stories about late-night work sessions and budgeting tips. One day she texted me, "You were right, Amelia. It feels better doing it on my own." I read it 3 times, then smiled. Growth always comes after pain. Ethan dropped by my store one Saturday afternoon. His hands were rough, his eyes clear. He'd paid off his truck and was saving for an apartment. "You remember when I called you selfish?" he asked. "Yeah." I take it back. "You saved us even when we didn't deserve it." After he left, I stood at the window watching him drive away. The autumn light poured across the showroom, glinting off the brass and glass pieces I'd restored myself. My life felt uncluttered for the first time, not just the rooms, but my heart. As for my parents, we still weren't close. They sent a Christmas card, nothing handwritten, just wishing you peace. And in a way, they'd finally given me that. Peace. Sometimes I thought about that email, the gift list that started it all. I used to think it was the moment everything fell apart, but maybe it was when everything started to fall into place. The following spring, I signed the lease on my second store in the historic district downtown. The air smelled like new paint and coffee from the cafe next door. As I stood in the empty space, sunlight hitting the glass displays, I realized this was the first time in years I was building something for myself, without guilt, without strings attached. I thought about that email again, the one that once felt like a curse. It wasn't a demand anymore. It was a reminder of the line I finally learned to draw. Setting boundaries hadn't made me selfish. It made me sane. If I've learned anything, it's that love without respect is just dependency dressed up as duty. And peace doesn't always come quietly, it sometimes comes after you hit cancel. So if you've ever had to cut someone off to protect your peace, know this: you're not heartless. You're healing. Share your story in the comments. And hit subscribe because the next one might sound a lot like yours.